I was busy minding my own business, but guess what? Somebody just contacted me, let me know that Joseph Parker has split from Kevin Barry. More on this. Join us soon. So Joseph Parker splits with Kevin Barry. Now I was just doing a gaming. I haven't done some gaming in a while, and one of the Bwtm loyalists sent me a message telling me, "Did you know that Kevin Barry or Joseph Parker split from Kevin Barry?" And I'm like, "Really?" He went, "Yeah." So I went, "All right." So I've just gone onto this page, and I can confirm that the split has happened. So let's read into more about this split. Let's go down the page. See here now. Boxing exclusive. Joseph Parker splits with trainer Kevin Barry. Kiwi heavyweight boxer Joseph Parker split with longtime trainer Kevin Barry by mutual consent. The Herald understands both men agreed to the decision yesterday after Parker's unanimous points victory over Junior Farr Auckland's Spark Arena on Saturday night. Barry left for his Las Vegas home yesterday, and the fact he's based in the United States will partly explain the outcome. The pair have been together for 8 years, with Parker living in his home and looking up to him as a father figure. Parker, 29, has 3 daughters with wife Lane, and given the changed landscape COVID has presented and the time he has spent with them at the South Auckland home recently, further speculation has been difficult to accept. But you also have to come to the realization that change is necessary in order for him to develop as a fighter, given his advanced age. He's been a professional since 2012, and the fact he is within touching distance of another world title shot, the WBO, has a lot to do with it. Park hasn't developed as he would have liked following his world title triumph of Andy Ruiz in Auckland in late 2016. In fact, his hand speed, his greatest attribute, has probably dipped, and his power that he expected to gather due to his maturing body has failed to eventuate. Fellow Kiwi Farr comfortably went the distance with him on Saturday night, with Parker failing to trouble him. In fact, Parker's frustration was evident in the second round of the fight, and he was disappointed afterwards. Despite his hand being raised in victory, he predicted a knockout victory. Parker and Barry began a partnership in 2013. It quickly proved itself after a points decision over Bryce Ritney Cole in the United States, when Parker knocked out veterans fans both in Auckland a month later. It was an incredibly composed performance in the main event fight for such an experienced fighter, and it paved the way for bigger and more lucrative fights around the world, accumulating Parker's huge, albeit unsuccessful title defense against Anthony Joshua in Cardiff in 2018. That was the year I actually met Joseph Parker and told him to his face that I thought he lost the fight with Hughie Fury. A lovely man Joseph Parker is, I have to say. The split will generate huge speculation about Parker's next move, with Israeli Adesanya's trainer Eugene Behrman, who was the assistant for Farr, suggested recently that Parker had inquired about attending his increased famous city kickboxing gym in Auckland. There is little time to bed in a relationship with the new trades. Parker could be in line to fight Englishman Derek Chisora in London as early as May 1st. If successful, Parker would be in line for another world title shot if Anthony Joshua gives up his WBO bet as expected in order to fight Tyson Fury in a mega 2-fight deal. Parker, ranked number 3 with the organization, could fight the winner of Ukrainian Usyk versus Joyce for the belt. The outspoken Chisora was quick to deliver his verdict on Parker's performance, saying the fight was not great. The simple reason for that was that they didn't spar a lot. They were not in shape. They didn't train hard enough. There was no fair factor for both of them. Okay, fair assessment from Derek Chisora. Always got something to say, Derek. Well, let's keep it right here, shall we? And you can hear what I've got to say about the whole thing. Well, to be honest with you, boxing fans, I've said it 1,001 times about Joseph Parker and Kevin Barry. Kevin Barry, he has been a guy that should have been sacked a long time ago. Performances against Hughie Fury, Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua just have not totaled up, and other poor performances as well. The Junior Fire one was just the icing on the cake. And boxing, people think that boxers don't watch YouTube. Believe me, they watch YouTube. And if enough people start saying the same thing, you start to smell the roses sooner or later, and you discover that, you know what, something has to be done. And what had to be done here is for Joseph Parker to leave Kevin Barry. But that's just the start of things for Joseph Parker. A lot of fighters don't actually know what the hell they want to do with their careers, right? I know that Joseph Parker's talking about becoming a world champion and wants to be a world champion again. When you want to get, if you're sick, you go to a doctor, you don't go to a mechanic. Do you understand? If your car doesn't work or your car breaks down, you don't call your doctor up. My point is this: boxers seem to do this very strange thing when they leave one trainer, for the most part, and they either get a trainer that's worse than a trainer they got before, or just as bad. Don't take them away. Joseph Parker needs a world-class proven trainer, right? He needs a world-class proven trainer. And I don't want to hear nothing about no COVID. I don't want to hear nothing about no COVID. I'm sick and tired of hearing about COVID being an excuse, because people have been able to move around, train, get their trainer, fly their trainer into camp, or he can fly out to camp and he can train. If he's a professional fighter first, he's a professional fighter first. I don't know what this thing is recently within journalist media. They have to talk about how many kids a fighter's got, how many if he's got wife or children. I don't care. I frankly don't care. When you're giving me an article about a professional fighter splitting with the trainer, I don't want to hear about the home life. I don't particularly want to hear about the house they're living in. All I care about is that fighter who's the entertainer. I want to hear that why he's come to this split. Right? Don't sugarcoat it. Kevin Barry wasn't up to task as a trainer. He simply wasn't. Thank you very much. Once he won the world, thank you very much, Kevin. Joseph Barry, he's been a liability for a long time, Kevin Barry. A long time he's been a liability. He might have been a father figure, great, but because he's your father figure doesn't mean he has to be a damn trainer. Performances backed by an average trainer. So I believe Joseph Parker is a world-class athlete. The problem I have here is that I believe that with a better trainer, Joseph Parker could have done better. He could have done better against. I've got BG London coming in and said that Kevin Barry did a brilliant job with Joseph Parker. What was brilliant about the job? What was brilliant about the job, my friend? What was brilliant about the job? For some time, what was brilliant about the job? Let's look. First of all, what did he do against Hughie Fury? In a fight, I felt he lost against Hughie Fury. He lost against Hughie only because the fight was in New Zealand that Parker got this decision. Otherwise, Andy Ruiz won that fight. He didn't look great against Anthony Joshua. Tell me one fight that Joseph Parker has looked spectacular in at world level. under Kevin Barry. He hasn't. And I've said it for a long time. He's not done a brilliant job. He's done an average job with Josie Parker, with the kind of natural athlete that Josie Parker is. Kevin Barry's not done very good. Done very good with him at all. I think he's done a very poor job with him. Do you understand? I think he's done a very poor job with him. I think if you talk about somebody done a good job with someone, you could say Mark Tibbs did a good job with Dillian White, because at least Dillian White was knocking out top class opposition, or he's knocking down top class opposition. And the rise Dillian White had from where he was when he got beat by Anthony Joshua to how he got himself back together and how he was able to go on to be quite a decent fighter and operating at world level. Knockout wins against Lucas Brown, knocking down Joseph Parker as well. So I thought he did. Former world champion beat Hughie Fury. I don't think he beat Hughie Fury, and he didn't beat Andy Ruiz, mate. I'm sorry. No, mate, he didn't beat Andy Ruiz. He did not beat Andy Ruiz. He did not beat Andy Ruiz, mate. He didn't beat Andy. Well, I don't think he beat Andy Ruiz. I don't think he beat Andy Ruiz. I know not many people in boxing think he beat Andy Ruiz. I just think he just come on the show just to be controversial. But, you know, Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles could see he didn't beat Andy Ruiz. Right, and I didn't think he beat Hughie Fury either. Right, Josie Parker is an articulate young man. He's a good-looking young man. He's an easy guy to sell. Do you understand? He's a sellable guy, but his performances have not matched that. And then another performance against Junior Farr. You're gonna tell me that Kevin Parry did a brilliant job of him against Junior Farr, or the fight he had against what's the guy? That he went 12 rounds, 10 rounds with his sparring partner. That Luz Ortiz knocked out in 2 rounds. Conjanu, I mean, come on. No. Povetkin put on a good performance against Hughie Fury. Showed you how to beat him. Pulev beat Hughie Fury. Do you understand? Those guys showed you how to beat Hughie Fury. Right? It was clear cut that Hughie Fury got beaten in those fights. Andy Ruiz in the second fight against Anthony Joshua was clearly beaten then. Right? But I'm sorry, under Kevin Barry, he's not done very good. So I don't agree with you there, mate. I really don't. What trade do you think would be good fit for Parker? I've said already, I've said already, Derek James would be perfect for him. Derek James would be perfect because he would add the technical skill set, a former heavyweight himself. James would give him the maybe to talk to him in the air and construct and polish him up to be a good heavyweight, a very good heavyweight. So he'd be one guy I'd like him to work with. I think if he were to go to the heavyweight gym and work with somebody like Stacey McKinley, again, he's got heavyweight, lots of heavyweights in there. So he's got the good quality sparring and he'll get the know-how, the mental know-how and the physical know-how. He's around champions. He's around a guy who knows how to produce champions. So when you're talking about wanting to take a guy from where he is with Kevin Barry, you're taking him from that. If I'm managing him, I'm going to take him to a place that has a legacy of producing champions. Nobody can doubt Derek James and his portfolio in terms of creating champions. He knows how to create champions, different styles. He knows what to do. A former heavyweight himself, he knows what it takes. And there's certain mentalities you need. I don't think, although I think Josie Parker's a hard worker, I don't know how much Josie Parker wants to work with the sort of money he's got now in the bank. So it's going to be a case of finding the right fit. You can pull a lot of trainers' names up now, but it's the right fit with somebody mentality of Joseph Parker. That's going to be key. So it's who Joseph Parker picks. Who he did a terrible job. Flipping hell, mate. Did a garbage job. Sorry. Terrible job. Well, you tell me, if you're going to sit down with me and honestly sit down and have a conversation in a room and not be laughed at and tell me that Kevin Barry did a good job with Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker basically winged it with a trainer that wasn't good enough. Kevin Barrett's not good enough. He's not good enough. He must have been watching your show. Let's hope it's not go for it to Adam Booth. But like I said before, there are a lot of fighters that do watch YouTube videos. You'd be very surprised, and they come back and they inbox you or they say thank you for that. You'd be surprised the sort of people that do come back and say things to me. Those closer to me, and those people that I actually have direct telephone numbers to, that watch the show, I'll talk to at times like, you would never guess who spoke to me. You'd never guess who said this. You never guess who said that. It just seems to be people who watch YouTube that tend to think that, oh, you just do videos and fighters don't get in contact. Despite working within media, they think that fighters don't get in contact because you don't do go to press conferences, suddenly you're out of the loop. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. When you've got a good reputation and you have good rapport with people more willing to talk to you. Fighters that for almost a week or two ago, I've been in deep conversations with before they've had fights, before they've signed contracts, I've spoken to. But that's neither here nor there. This situation here with Josie Parker was a dreadful situation because it was like a bad smell that just wouldn't go away with Josie Parker's. Parker's improved as a fighter. He just hasn't improved at all. I agree Parker needs to try. And I told him to his face, you need to get, and you think to yourself for a second, if Joseph Parker had a better trainer that night you fought Anthony Joshua, we may be talking about a totally different situation now. Because you look at Joseph Parker on his way up, he was steamrolling guys. He was, people enjoyed watching Joseph Parker fight. They did. He was excited. There was something excitement about him. But since, he just seemed to just become very, he almost has become almost like I said to Danny Jacobs, glad to be here to pick up the check. I mean, the worst of Joseph Parker was when he was in the studio with Dillian White. And I could tell when he sat in that studio and he made comments like, I've already made it. When he made that comment, I knew that Dillian White was going to beat him because Dillian White was much more hungry than him. And Dillian White just bullied him. It was like watching a schoolboy getting robbed of his money. It was that bad. And then suddenly Parker sort of pulled himself together in the last round and showed what he could do. If you look at that last sequence in that last round with Parker, where he had Dillian White almost out of there, if that Joseph Parker started from round one like that, we'd be talking about a different situation today. I mean, you look at it, basic fundamentals. Joseph Parker, when you put him onto the back foot, he couldn't block a left hook. He could not block a left hook. And you go and fight Dillian White, thinking you're going to beat Dillian White. And then when you get dropped, and then his trainer, his management, like, Joseph Parker's never been down before in his career. He's never been down. Like, so what? The best chin is one that doesn't get hit. So I really want to see Joseph Parker with a top-class trainer. I don't want to see him with no disrespect to the guy from Auckland. He probably is a decent trainer, but Parker doesn't need decent. Parker's had decent. That's Kevin Barrett. Parker needs a world-class trainer. Do you know what I mean? Somebody who's going to take him to the next level. Somebody who knows what it takes to create world heavyweight champions. Someone's going to use all his attributes. Someone who studied the history of boxing and can say, look, for your height, for your size, for what you can do, this is where I think we need to go in this pathway. This is the strategy I think we need to be using. A trainer that can come up with different strategies, and Parker's able to receive that information and respond. Because in my video I said, If Parker doesn't change from Kevin Barry, he'll get beat by Derek Chisora. And he can still get beat by Derek Chisora because the mindset has got to change. He's been with Kevin Barry for so long now that it could be so ingrained in his system that he may never get rid of the Kevin Barry situation. How many fights do you think it would take before Josie Parker shows notable changes with a new trainer? It depends how deep. It depends how deep and how thick his relationship with Barry is. Now, if it's got to the point where Parker in his training camps just was going through the motions, that's probably a good thing for Joseph Parker's career. Because if you're just going for the motions with someone like Kevin Barry, it means that his heart's not fully in it, which means he isn't fully taking in all the instructions of Kevin Barry, which could mean a new trainer might bring in fresher ideas. Other trainers to consider: Ronnie Shields. I like to work with a trainer. Actually, I like Parker to work with a trainer that hasn't got a busy schedule. Like a trainer that is an experienced trainer that hasn't got a busy schedule, that hasn't got 8, 9, 10, 15 fighters at his gym. So I'd like to see him to have a time where he can work with stay with a good trainer, a real world-class trainer. And no, please not Abel Sanchez. Please not Abel Sanchez. Because Abel Sanchez, nothing wrong with Abel Sanchez. Sanchez will teach you how to attack. That's fine. But after that, you're back with the same problems. So I'd like him to work. A trainer like Tommy Brooks would be nice. Tommy Brooks would be good. Tommy Brooks, Don Turner, old school. Tommy Brooks would be good. Tommy Brooks would be good because Tommy Brooks has worked with a series of heavyweight champions. Evander Holyfield worked with the Klitschko's, and you look at Josie Parker's build and size. What, 6'3"? Is he 6'3"? 6'3", 6'4"? Tommy Brooks would do a great job, a fantastic job with Josie Parker. The overall thing that I've seen with Josie Parker is that around 6 or 8, he kind of switches off. And unless he gets nailed dead on or dropped, he does not wake up. Yeah, well, but again, that's due to the trainer because the trainer lacks imagination. When the trainer can only teach you so much, there's only so much you can go on, and then afterwards it's blank. If the trainer can only count to 5, if the trainer can only count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And there's 10 numbers in a game, and your trainer can only count to 5, then that 5 is missing. Do you understand? There's that 5 that is missing. Yeah. Yes, there we go. I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that there. Abel Sanchez, Freddie Roach, Nacho Berestein, you're all good attacking fighters, but they don't always give you the defensive responsibility and sound fundamentals you need to be a well-rounded fighter. Again, that's why I go back and I talk about having someone like Derek James. I'd love to see Derek James training Joseph Parker. I'd love to see him train Joseph Parker. Who else? I mean, back in the day, the guy you'd think Joseph Parker would have gone and trained with would be Emmanuel Stewart. Emmanuel Stewart would have been the guy that would have taken on Joseph Parker. You could see it now. You could see Emmanuel Stewart taking on Joseph Parker. He's got the credentials. Former world champion. Never been knocked out. And Emmanuel will take him in, give him a few tweaks here and there, and he'll be back winning the world title again. I'm telling you, Emmanuel Stewart would pick up Joseph Parker and he would take him on and he'd become a world champion again. So, could James Bashir do a job with Joseph Parker? I mean, he has trained Usyk already. Could he do the same for Joseph Parker? But is Joseph Parker going to shop around? Or is he going to keep close to home? You know, is he going to do a David Price? Stay at home, you know, keep comfortable, and you know, because if he does that, of course, Ronnie Shields would be an ideal fit. Stay at home, keep comfortable, stay in New Zealand, and just, you know, ride out the rest of your career training in New Zealand and fighting in the UK. That's it. You can see that scenario happening. You know, Kevin, you know, mate, we've been together for years, man, and I just think, you know, time has come for me to spend more time with my family. You know, I mean, we're building a gym here in New Zealand. You can hear the conversation. We're building a gym here in New Zealand. All right, we're building a gym here in New Zealand, and I want to spend more time with my family. You know, and I don't know if I can do all these trips to America anymore. You know, that sort of line. You can hear that kind of conversation going on as well. And then that conversation will then lead on to, you know, Junior Fast's got a good trainer, man. I think I work with Junior Fast trainer. Yeah, you know, you could see that. You could see that happening. You could see it happening. You could see it happening. Kevin Cunningham, another good trainer. Why not? Familiarity breeds contempt. Ingram from Bwtm. Well, it does. It does. We've got a lot of situations where fighters decide to stay at home and get comfortable and have the creature comforts of being at home. And then that's the sign, for the most part, where it didn't work out for Big David Price, did it? In fact, I nailed it on. I said he'd have 3 fights against nobody and then get KO'd. Well, that's what happened to Dave Price, isn't it? It's finding the right fit. And you will know how much appetite Joseph Parker's got and whether this split is about him being comfortable back in New Zealand or he really is pushing the boat out and wants a world-class trainer. I mean, he's got enough money, Joseph Parker. He could fly a trainer into New Zealand. He could fly a trainer into New Zealand if necessary and get himself prepared. Why not? And the UK's opening up again. So, I mean, why can't he come to England and prepare for the fight against Derek Chisora? Well, what's wrong? He's got his good buddy Tyson Fury. Huh? You know, he's got good relationships in the UK. Likeable guy, Joseph Parker. So why can't he come to the UK and work out? I don't know. But this news of Kevin Barry can only be good news. It can only be good news if Joseph Parker goes and does better by getting a better trainer. There's no point leaving average to come back and getting average. Canelo took that one loss from Mayweather and gave his whole team a shake-up. He got a group of 5 guys he's not lost since. Yeah, but he also hasn't fought anybody who's had footwork and movement like Floyd Mayweather either. Brave move by Parker to have that awkward conversation with Kevin Barry. Was it awkward? Was it really an awkward conversation? I mean, yeah, I think Kevin Barry's still his manager. The conversation gets more awkward when you're trying to get rid of him as manager and trainer. I mean, he's traded. He might have a contract that might have said that this last fight was the last fight on the contract for Kevin Barry. In that case, what conversation was there to be had? Nobody knows what the contract is between Joseph Parker and Kevin Barry. That just might have been the last deal on their contract, and Parker decided not to renew. The conversation may say, "Look, if I don't look good in this fight, mate, then I'm gonna have to make changes," because he knows that Derek Chisore's going to bring it to him. And at the moment, if I'm training Derek Chisore, I tell him, listen, train for 12-hour rounds. Don't take a backward step. Go forward against Joseph Parker and just keep ducking under and throwing the left hook, ducking under and throwing the left hook, ducking under and throwing the left hook. Keep coming up and throwing the left hook because Parker can't block a left hook, and Kevin Barry still hasn't taught him how to block a left hook. That's it. Watch how Dillian White beat Joseph Parker. Just bullied him. And that's a sad thing to say, but that's how Chisora can beat Joseph Parker. Listen, I kind of got the move forward. Seen some videos on Bwtm. Some of it's making sense, and yeah, I gotta go, Josie Parker. Well, it's not like me and Joseph haven't spoken before. It's not like he hasn't rang me before and had conversations. So you know, I'm just happy to hear that Parker's making that change, if it is that change for the better of his career and not the change for making him more comfortable. Do you understand? And you and NJ Chisora pretty much chase Parker down, call him, and stop him. That's what could happen. That's what possibly could happen. That's what possibly could happen. And Chisora stops Josie Parker. What a shame. What an absolute shame that it's come to Josie Parker getting stopped by Derek Chisora. I mean, that just shows you how, when you look to Josie Parker's early career, before he became world champion, would you have actually put Derek Chisora or Dillian Whyte at that point in time to being guys who potentially could have beaten Josie Parker? There's no disrespect to those guys, but you just wouldn't have thought it back then, because Josie Parker looked like the real business. He really looked the business. Parker, Chisora, nice dust up. People keep paying for Derek Chisora. Do you know why they keep paying for Derek Chisora? Because Derek Chisora comes to fight. You know why they keep paying for Derek Chisora? Because they just don't know what is expected of Derek Chisora. Do you know why they keep paying for Derek Chisora? Because he's actually an entertaining type of guy. And if Parker still wants people to be interested in him and paying to watch him fight, and he doesn't go down the line of Danny Jacobs, he better find a way of being exciting very quickly. So those are my thoughts on Josie Parker, Kevin Barry. And I hope you watch it. I hope all is well with you, Kevin. I hope all is good with you. And I'm sure that you will find another talented fighter along the way, and sure you can take him to a world title as well. People pay for Derek because two things: he's stopping someone, or someone might stop him. Yeah, that's entertainment, isn't it? It comes under that entertainment bracket, doesn't it? So yeah. All right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video and enjoyed the live. Let's hope that Parker's done it for all the right reasons and not for the comfort of New Zealand. We'll soon find out, because if Parker goes with this Auckland trainer, then it's all about the creature comforts. And for that, I'll give Josie Parker, unfortunately, Joseph, I'm going to give you the same treatment I give Danny Jacobs and Rosado. Just not interested in watching you fight anymore, because I know what it's about. It's about money and not giving a damn about becoming the world heavyweight champion again, or the excitement from the fans, just keeping it comfortable. And I'm not interested in that. Thanks, Ingram. Great getting your take on things. Appreciate it. I think you should come back for the Fury AJ winner. Nah. I'll leave that to either Deontay Wilder or Joe Joyce. Thank you all for watching. As always, don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave your comments. I must say that YouTube now, I've got to a point when you leave your comments in your comment section, it's frozen. Even if you approve the comments, they're still frozen. YouTube is getting...